Welcome to this edition of Week in Review. I'm Marlon Bailey along with Ganem Hanna and Don Wright. Today we are going to cover a variety of subjects. This is kind of a break here for us at the Loma Linda Broadcasting Network studios. We have been really busy in the last couple of weeks, as you have witnessed, with the groundbreaking and the 3 schools of graduation this last weekend. And there are some more coming up next weekend. We're going to be talking about that, as well as a new way or ways that you can receive the Loma Linda Broadcasting Network and all of its foreign channels, I might add. Also, we're going to talk about financial surprises, not the nice kind. That's why Don Wright is here. He is going to tell us why, how, and what you can do to ensure uninterrupted service of the Loma Linda Broadcasting Network. All that and more on this edition of Week in Review. Let's start out with Ganem Hanna.
Well, Marlon, what can I say? I mean, there's a lot of great things happening. Jesus keeps providing and providing and providing to this ministry. We can talk about a lot of technical stuff that folks will be bored about, but we can talk about the effectiveness of LLBN outreach and the nurturing it's providing to church members throughout North America and around the world. Not to forget all those who are receiving and learning the word of Jesus through LLBN for the first time of their lives. Some had started with us a few years back and they're growing with us. Others are just getting introduced to Christ. And there are others who are faithful to Christ and continue to support this ministry week after week after week. LLBN is just a platform of miracles. God seems to be always at work, always providing, changing lives of many. I can go on and on.
Well, things that we need to address, though, are the current financial conditions.
Well, you know, I mean, I used to worry a lot about where the money is going to come from and how we're going to pay the bills. I'm numbed on that matter. After 20 years, I've learned to submit to the Lord, and God takes care of everything. This is now Don Wright's headache, since he's a treasurer. He's the one who has to pray more than, no, we all pray equally, but he should pray more because he's the one who's counting the money and working with his team, and he's the one who comes with the good news or the bad news. But truly and sincerely, not trying to be funny, God has always provided. But we have dry periods. We have slow periods and we have good periods. And we have slow periods. It could, you know, it brings a little bit of uncomfort to the team because this network is working 24/7. I say that again, 24/7. Some folks go to sleep, we're still broadcasting. Some people get up to eat breakfast and we're still broadcasting. And that's just a money pipe. And thanks, I really want to say this, thanks to the faithful Adventists who support this ministry, who supports God's work and his mission all around the world. Continue to be the lifeline of LLBN by their donations. Because, Don, you would agree that you're the treasurer and you see where the money comes from. We are the only network that I know of have no deep pockets or large organization to support it financially.
Yeah, we're completely independent of any outside organizations adding to our funds. It's really donor supported. And we do run a streamlined operation. We have a lot of volunteer help. But as you mentioned, these are challenging times and expenses to transmit satellite fees are going up. At the same time, the financial picture is not quite as robust as it has been in other years. Through the first 5 months of this year, our donations are down about $50,000 for the 5 months, and our expenses are about $50,000 more than they have been running. So again, we trust in Jesus and we trust in the viewers being faithful to support our ministry because we know how much they appreciate watching LLBN and what a blessing it is for them.
So that's $100,000.
It's $100,000 year over year that we're down from last year. So.
Are you worried?
Well, again, you can only go by what's happened in the past and have trust that God's led us through in the past, and I think he will continue to lead us in the future. But again, any support that we can give, there's very many ways to give. You can give through the website, through phone, you can write a check, credit cards, we take all kinds. We have trusts and annuities that we have a very capable department that handles those. So even planned gifts in the future, we accept all those.
And Marlon, I know you asked about kind of the state of LLBN, and I really didn't know where to go, but I think this is the best place where we go, where the needs are right now. Because, I mean, if I may, Marlon, you don't get paid from this ministry, neither does Don, or neither do I. So, folks, there aren't too many ministries when we send your money that goes directly into the mission work. There's a lot of organizations, I mean, from humanitarian organizations to religious organizations. You end up with 50 cents on the dollar or 30 cents on the dollar going toward the actual work because the overhead's so high.
That's right.
And our overhead here, we make sure it's so low. So what did you say about 90 cents?
90 cents, and that's a lot because of the volunteers that we have that are working for free. So the money can go directly to pay the transmission fees and the production costs.
Well, there are paid staff, though.
Yes.
We're not all volunteer.
Right.
And that is a monthly commitment that we have.
That's right.
But
But Marlon,
the few employees that we have.
okay, let me ask you, if I may. I mean, you've been involved in this ministry for 20 years, and how long have you been with us? 5?
Yeah, 5 years.
5 years. Wow. Happy birthday. You've seen God at work, how He kept the pieces together, this ministry. Can you imagine if there was no LLBN? I mean, so much folks loves it and watch it. Your mom watches it. My mom used to watch it before, you know, she passed away. Neighbors and friends. What the alternatives if LLBN wasn't here?
Well, there's a variety of choices in the media world to get your spiritual food. LLBN happens to offer a little different flavor of what's being offered out there as well. But LLBN brings, you know, more than the English channel. There are so many foreign channels that we are involved in, and each one of these is almost like and they're not independent, but they're run independently by those groups that have taken responsibility and charge. And the thing is we do not really realize much income from our foreign offerings, and I'm not sure why that is, but you folks here on the LLBN English channel have supported them all. And we know that because of the situation in the world, this message needs to go out. Now, Don, we have operated on what is called a reserve.
Yes.
But that can evaporate very quickly.
Yes. One of our goals is to make sure that every year we don't dip into our reserves. We want to keep growing. I mean, with inflation, if you have $1 today, it's not going to be worth $1 next week. So it's very important that we grow our reserves, not only to keep up with inflation, but to cover our depreciating assets that eventually wear out. And so we need to keep funds in-house for that. And again, that's why we're looking at our cash so importantly to make sure we're not dipping into our reserves so that we have contingencies for the future.
No, the fact is, though, I mean, we're into them.
Yes.
You know, it's not a good place to be.
No, and as I said, this year we're about 100,000 worse than last year. So we have dipped some into our reserves. By God's grace, we still have some left, but we don't want that trend to continue. And again, this is a donor-supported ministry, and it's really the donors that keep us afloat.
Yeah, if I may add to this, I mean, when you watch on the Sabbath day, all programs carried by LLBN, although we don't necessarily produce these programs, if it's produced by the local church or remote church, LLBN carries the expenses to carry it from our facilities all the way out to satellite and back to you, whatever you might be around the world. Not to forget, we put it on IPTV, which is through the internet. And for every 15 minutes, someone watching on the internet, it costs LLBN $0.25 on the internet. So, and the viewership is phenomenally high. And several organizations suggested, why don't you monetize what you're doing. Why don't you start charging? Well, we can't. This is God's work.
That's right.
We live for Jesus. He's behind this organization, and we're just happy that we can feed his message to the flock around the world. But it really goes back to the pioneers of the church who continues to have the vision, the individual members have the vision and the love to God's work, will continue to support ministry. Hey, it's a miracle. We don't fall or get supported by any organization. Every program on LLBN we subsidize to bring it to someone that could benefit from.
That's right.
You know, so we have a nominal cost, but yet I'm at awe how God keeps it all together.
So this is the time to make a difference. This is the time to sign up and help us rebuild that reserve. There's not much left, and if that goes, well, who knows? Of course, we do depend on your prayers, and that's really the most important thing. So we need more prayers or more money. How about both? Because I really love the prayer part. So if you would like to set up a plan, you need to call Jay Hughes, and he will be able to explain all the ways that you can participate to help us out in this mid-year. It's not a crisis, but it's a pinch, and it is the beginning of summer, and a lot of people are going on vacation. A lot of people have other commitments. We'd like you to seriously consider your commitment right at this time. This time is important to write us a check, to give us a call, to send us an email. We'd love to hear from you. Well, that's all I have to say about that. Let's talk about different ways that LLBN can be received. You mentioned there's a brand new delivery project.
Well, some of the foreign channels will be moving to a different platforms. We do this every so many years. We kind of restructure and move things around. The Arabic Latino will be moving to a different location. It will not be on the satellite you're on, but we have solutions for that next week. And from next week on, we'll bring you that information weekly. So if you follow that specific channel, that foreign channel, on that particular satellite, then you would know how to find it again, or what piece of equipment you may need to continue receiving those channels. Why we do that? Because we do, the demographics changes, and the demand around the world changes, where people, with a concentration of viewership, and we follow those statistics, and we kind of alter our distribution accordingly. Believe it or not, one of our highest viewership or utilization of our internet usage, it comes from China. 25% of our usage comes from China, and that's very high compared to what we provide. So Jesus is working in ways to reach his people. I'm just so delighted that he is directly involved in using this ministry to reach out to the masses.
Well, thank you.
Marlon, sorry, but folks always could tell friends and colleagues and neighbors and people at work how they can get LLBN as a witnessing tool. All they have to do, whether they have a mobile device, computer at home, type in llbn.tv, and they can watch any of our languages for free.
Check it out. You don't want to miss it. There's a lot of great things happening with this ministry, including the next weekend. The next set of graduations is here upon us. We're going to be starting out at 8 a.m. and going right through the nursing graduation at 6 p.m., all live, brought to you by the Loma Linda Broadcasting Network and Loma Linda University Health. That's all the time we have for this edition of Week in Review. See you next time on LLBN.